Holy moly. Do you suppose we raised like $10 million just now? Not quite, not quite, but there's still time. Thank you for that, you two. That was robust. You guys have gotten very chatty. Are you feeling good about the night? Thank you. See, you're learning. That's delightful. Okay. Have to rush ahead. Hold on. Okay. It is now my pleasure to take us in a very different direction. So even though all night long I have admonished you to up your game, now I'm going to ask you to settle down, and I am not stepping off this stage until it's quiet. And I love to be on stage, so I'm happy to stand here and let you look at me. No, you don't need to respond. I mean, it's fine. I appreciate it, but okay. It is now my incredible privilege to introduce one of the Jeremiah Program standouts, Tory Queensley. But still, it's not as quiet as I want it to be. Tory and her children found support and a loving community on their journey for hope. I got to meet Tory earlier this week. We are all in for an extraordinary journey through Tory's life, so please welcome Tory to the stage.
Okay. Good evening. Do I do that public speaker thing? Good evening. Okay. Tonight, I want to invite you on a journey with me through the tapestry of my life. A story that is woven with threads of survival, transformation, and the overwhelming power of community. Now, I'll be honest, it's gonna get heavy at times. It might make you cry, and it'll definitely make you laugh. However, this is my story, and it's not told for clout, and definitely not for sympathy. But there are millions out there just like it. So please, don't feel bad for me when you hear it. Just reflect on your own life, and realize that even though we aren't the same, we're probably not that different. Now, I always like to start from the beginning, because it's important to know where we came from to see how we got here. So, buckle up, folks. I was born in Williston, North Dakota, and if you're already thinking, great, here we go, just stick with me, okay, it's a great story. I grew up in a single-parent household with my older brother, Joe, in Minot, North Dakota. My brother and I share a 5-year age gap, and to say we were close as children would be, well, completely false. Naturally, I was the annoying little sister, and with an age gap like that, and being opposite genders, you just don't find that much in common. For most of my childhood, my mother worked in a variety of jobs, waitressing at restaurants or at bars, on phones at call centers. So it was a low-income lifestyle for us. My father wasn't in the picture, and the small glimpses that I did get, well, he's the blueprint for everything that a man should not be to a woman. Family, in general, was a small concept in my world. Besides a grandma and an uncle on my mom's side, both back in Williston, I didn't have any extended family around. So my understanding was severely skewed and dysfunctional from what I saw on TV as a kid. My grandma raised my mother in a very different era, like when it was acceptable to bring a kid into a bar kind of era. As you can imagine, the picturesque that was my mother's life was about the farthest thing from Leave It to Beaver as you could possibly get. Now, you can already see how that kind of upbringing trickles down into the next generation. All right, take a walk with me. I was diagnosed with ADHD at a very young age, back when doctors were still refining what that diagnosis actually meant. I remember feeling like I was different early on. I was told I needed medication to be calm, that I couldn't focus without it. I was hyperactive. This required doctor visits, time, and attention, things that were very hard for any member of my family to give. I grew up feeling like a burden, being told to be quiet, to just sit still, to be seen and not heard, like I was just too much to handle. I grew up in a household that was angry, violent, and cynical. I was this curious, goofy, loud little kid full of wonder. Growing up in a world where discipline meant being beaten and not taught, where one look from your parents made you tremble, where your pain might be their entertainment. Now, eventually, that wonder would start to turn. What began as a need for love and laughter became anger, resentment, and even hate. It was hard. I didn't have anyone to look out for me, to care for me the way that a kid needs to develop a strong sense of self or to feel safe enough to talk about the things that kids deserve to talk about. My family were drinkers, smokers, and partiers. I remember waking up to full-blown parties in our house as a child. Other times I'd wake up to a completely empty home in the middle of the night. Mom gone, brother out with friends partying. What's wild is I was such an innocent kid. I loved hanging out at churches. I hated drinking and drugs because that's what you're taught when you're little. Your innocence is so intact. But somewhere in adolescence, that changed. When you come from a childhood of abuse and you just want to be good, but there's no acceptance, no validation, no sense of belonging, your perspective starts to shift. There's this invisible line you cross when you're no longer a child that's just easy to shut the door on. Suddenly, it becomes acceptable to join in. I went from resenting everything my family represented to chasing it. I finally had friends after I thought I could fit in if I followed the crowd, and then I'd form some half-baked bond with my family. But it was never enough. I never measured up. I never had any goals. I didn't have any insight on the person I wanted to be because the truth was I was living life as a shell of a person. Eventually, I believed that I had value when I used drugs. Perhaps living that lifestyle made me desirable and that I had some sort of power. But at my core, I was constantly seeking approval and never finding it. I turned to harder drugs in my later years, and I found myself doing things that no person should find themselves doing. And I'm telling you this because there are parts of me that still to this day I struggle to accept. But what I have learned is this: if I must learn to love the darkest parts of me, to love and accept all of me. So, here we go. When I fell into drugs, I fell into a life of darkness. I was surrounded by people, but I had no real connection. The ones that I did have were hollow, translucent, no depth. But to me, they meant everything. This misguided sense of love and belonging was all that I had. I experienced losses that nearly took my life. I did things that should have put me in prison for a long time. But somehow I always managed to slip through the cracks. I would often cry because I knew deep down that if I were to die, it could be weeks or months that people may not notice I'm gone. After being arrested, it wasn't until realizing that I was 27 years old and didn't have a record that my pride and ego fought me to fight to clear my name. Facing drug charges and jail time, along with a record that would hinder my future, I stubbornly sought out to change my course. I couldn't stand the fact that I had made it this far with no drug charges, and it was like I had this misplaced sense of something to prove. I understand this is heavy. Are you guys still with me? Woo! I went through treatment, and I was successful. I had learned about myself and my disease of addiction. I learned that there are others just like me and that I'm not alone. I became a part of a community of peers that I could relate to, and I tried to work on who I was as a person. I was able to complete my treatment and attended meetings and felt like I was starting to change my life, even though I had no idea what that looked like. And then one day, the only person I trusted, the one person I kept close, revealed that he had not been clean the entire time I was in treatment and offered me a chance to get high again. I let my guard down for a split second, and I relapsed. It was by far the most excruciating and horrendous experience of my life. I ended up in the very place my mother found herself. I ended up with someone just like my father. My life had become what I feared as a child. There were days that I had feared with my life, and still, the grip of being an addict kept me paralyzed where I was. I didn't think I could ever be anything. I would talk myself into believing that I needed to see this through, that I was strong, and if I could just hold on until something happened. And then, something did. The person that ripped open scars of mistrust and nearly drowned me in toxicity made the most incredible thing happen to me. I found out I was pregnant. My whole world changed, and I realized that this is not the life that I'm going to live. Becoming pregnant became the catalyst for change. I stopped using hard drugs and gave birth to the most gorgeous baby girl. I know. I made that. Now, it was 2020. We all know and remember the pandemic. I still struggle with full sobriety from all substances, and especially alcohol. I was working as a custodian, and I remember thinking, this is not what I want to be on career day at my daughter's school. I knew I had to do something different. I saw this ad on Facebook that said, "Are you a single mom who wants to go back to college successfully?" And I was like, I sure am. I remember getting a call from Amy, the family services director, and she explained to me what Jeremiah Program was all about. And I thought, okay, yeah, but like, what do you want from me? Because I don't trust anybody, so what's the catch? I go to school, you get to keep my kid. Like, what are we doing here? But then, something profound happened. I met a group of people that changed my life. I found a culture of women who had unwavering support. I became a part of a community that made my daughter and I feel seen. In a life of anger and struggle, I suddenly woke up to joy every day. A group of people that were genuinely happy to be there and cared. I had never experienced that in my life, and they did that simply by just being who they are. They did that by showing up to work each day with authentic love, compassion, and care for what they do. Meg has been one of the best coaches a woman could ask for, and there's really no secret to what she does. She shows up, and she's present. She's seen me ugly cry, she's seen me grow, she's listened to me drone on and on about my self-criticism, all to have me come the next day and tell her how well I did. It's my process, don't judge me. Amy is one of the first people I met, and it's my personal mission in life to tell a joke that will make Amy blush. I'm determined she'll tell you. She's the first one in the door and always ready to greet Declan with a big hug. Shauna has sat with me in some very deep conversations, and always with no ounce of judgment. She restores my faith in humanity by being relatable in a way that tells me even God-fearing people are human. Leticia and I have spent hours in her office talking. She has a way of allowing you to be your authentic self while giving you a perspective into the world that allows you to recognize that life doesn't just happen in a snow globe. And that shift in mindset has changed my outlook on life. Cassandra, I still don't know what you do here. I'm just kidding. It's our running joke. If you guys didn't know, she's actually the operations manager. She like does everything. You know, there are so many wonderful people I could mention. We would be here all night. Aaron and Andrea, you know I love you. JP has watched me grow, supported me and my daughter, and has invested in not just my success, but my humanity. I was finally able to recognize who I am, and I surrendered. I admitted to myself that I am an addict, and I have been fully clean of alcohol and all mind-altering substances since April 7th of 2022. During my time at Jeremiah, I made some incredible friendships with the moms on campus and off. We became close, our kids played together, we became this village, and this village became my normal. You know, we looked out for each other. We became invested into each other. This community of moms was surreal, and it was healing. But I want to take a moment to remember some of those that we have lost. On May 14th of 2023, we experienced a loss of one of our own together. Ashley was survived by her son, Ashton. And JP became the rock-solid foundation we needed in that time. From Jan cooking us breakfast, to the staff giving us space to grieve together, to Shauna reading the prayer as we placed Ashley's memorial stone on the JP grounds, to other JP campuses sending flowers and condolences. It was truly more than a loss. It was a moment that bonded us, We became sisters and family. Some moms are in the audience tonight, and you know who you are. It's important for me to take this time on stage for you to hear that you are my sisters, and JP gave us that connection. Always remember, I do not care what's happening in our lives. I am a phone call away. More recent losses have caused a ripple effect, just like Ashley. Through tragedy, we can come together in the most unlikely way, because that's what this community does. It connects us. It reminds us of the importance of the village we build as mothers. It was that village and support that helped me discover my purpose. I found my passion in nursing. Through JP, I earned 2 degrees and became an RN in February, and now work on the Behavioral Mental Health Unit at Sanford Hospital. And those degrees were from M-State, just so you know. I've learned to trust people, to build healthy relationships with women. I've been able to rebuild a relationship with my mom, who truly makes an amends to me every day by being a grandma my kids need and adore. I love her and my stepdad deeply. They remain one of my biggest supports. I got engaged over a year ago and now have this beautiful, chaotic, blended family with my partner and our 800 kids. Look, 1 is new, 2 is crazy, 3, at that point, they just multiply on their own. I recognize what I bring to the table. I'm learning who I am. I have a passion for my family I've created, for my work, and for standing up for what I believe in. So let me ask you, are you still walking with me? How y'all doing? All right. As JP moms, we get this incredible opportunity to connect across the country through an event called Summit, where all campuses come together, unite, learn, and empower. Last year, something unexpected happened. I reconnected with an old neighbor. And I had that opportunity at Summit. And it has proved to be one of the most meaningful connections I could have ever dreamed of. Her name is Tara. And as a social worker, Tara is legitimately one of the hardest working women I've ever met, and above all, one of the most devoted mothers I've ever encountered. She cares more about her son and the meaningful relationship she holds with him as much as she cares about the people she helps on her caseload. At this year's Summit, we had an opportunity to pitch a business in an entrepreneur competition called Spark Tank. Something that started out as simply an idea that was born from the shared passion of our work and our desire to help women and children. Our nonprofit is called Empower Her, and the mission is to end the stigma surrounding mothers with children who are struggling with addiction. We offer a compassionate and supportive environment where these women can seek recovery, rebuild their lives, and thrive. With her heart and expertise as a social worker and my expertise in recovery and mental health services, we collaborate in this effort and have strived to change the way the system is viewed by those struggling, as well as introduce support we've experienced ourselves to these women who never even knew it existed. Support is something you don't know you need until you finally have it. Oh, just for the record, we did walk out of that competition first place winners. It's no big deal. I now find myself moved on from the JP campus and starting this beautiful chapter of my life. I have a college degree, a career, healthy relationships, a passion, a calling, and most importantly, a profound sense of self. And yet I still get hit with imposter syndrome. I think to myself, am I really this person? With everything I've done and been through, is this actually real? Or am I going to wake up one day back in the nightmare I fought so hard to get out of? See, this is my revelation from the Jeremiah program. I had to stop and ask myself, why don't I believe in myself? Everyone else does. Why can't I? I realized my whole life I placed my value in the hands of other people. I defined myself not by the quality of my relationships, but by the quantity. Throughout this journey, I have finally reached the level of self-actualization that I am who I am because I dreamed to be. Because why wouldn't I be? This one's tough. In a world that wanted me to just sit down, they encouraged me to stand up. In a world that wanted me silenced, they embraced my loud. To the little kid who never thought she would be anything, They made sure that I know I'm somebody. You'll never truly know what you've done for me. And if you're crying, that's good. That's what I'm going for. Washington Irving said, "There is a sacredness in tears. They are not the mark of weakness, but of power. They speak more eloquently than 10,000 tongues. They are messengers of overwhelming grief, deep contrition, and unspeakable love." For all of you here tonight who watched me grow and supported me for the past 4 years, thank you. I would not be here without you. Know that you had a part in breaking that generational trend of trauma and dysfunction. You were part of the reason my kids' story will be different. Having my daughter save my life and having my 3 beautiful children now remind me every day of why I have to keep going. Scars remind us of where we have been, but they don't have to dictate where we are going. I may not change the world, but damn, I can try. Thank you.
You got me. Ugh. That wasn't just crying. That was ugly crying for me. That was... Tory, that was huge. They told us that you were going to be good. I didn't know you were going to be that good. And the bravery that you have, and to share your story with all these people, it's like heart shattering. It's like I kind of feel like a Care Bear. I'm kind of like bursting open with love right now. You have such a story, and that was a ride. You did take us along. And now we get to take how we're feeling and put it into action. That's what you just did for this whole room. That was one more time for Terry. Oh my God.
Tory.
So folks, this is the point of the night where we don't have a Twins Minneapolis package. We don't have a fun wine tasting event to dangle in front of you. This is where we just dig deep. We dig deep into our hearts, into our wallets, into our business accounts for maybe a little tax write-off. But this is where we get to make a difference. And so we're going to work high. We're going to start high and work low. And when there is that level of giving that speaks to you, for how moved you are from Tory's story, I want you to raise your paddle. I want you to raise it high in the sky until we call your number so we can recognize you. We can give you this round of applause so that we can keep this program going for women like Tory so we can hear more success stories down the road. Right, Katie?
Right, miss?
And because we're not very shy either, similar to our Hawaiian friend up front. Katie always says a little quote from our mom.
That if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So we're going to ask the question, and we're going to see where things land. So we would look tonight to see if there would be any gifts for $5,000 this evening for the Jeremiah program. And Missy, what does $5,000 do for the Jeremiah program?
5,000 would be saving lives.
Saving lives.
First of all, yes, thank you. But just for an idea of, keeping the kids busy in the summertime, $5,000 underwrites enriching. Oh, yes.
Bidder 453. Yes. That's bidder 453 for $5,000 this evening.
Thank you so much, sir. Way to stand up.
Any other gifts for $5,000 this evening?
Yes, over here. Paddle number, shout it out for me, Michelle. 181. 181 for another gift of $5,000.
We're going to put a pause on that because Andrea just ran up and she said she has someone in the crowd that would like to give $10,000. So we're going to back it up.
Okay.
So who here would like our bidder 489 in the back for $10,000?
That's what I'm talking about. Wow.
Anybody else want to give $10,000? Because it sure is a lot of fun to say that number.
Let's work our way back up. Yes.
We're just going to ping pong around. Thank you so much.
It is so funny because we were talking about starting at 10,000 because we were so moved. We're like, we'll stick to the script. So thank you for that. That was amazing, my dear. Wow. So $5,000, Katie.
$5,000.
Yes. It would enrich extracurricular activities and summer camps for some of the JP kids. Just to go back to that $5,000 level for one more moment.
Any other $5,000 gifts this evening? Thank you so much for your generosity. Let's see who would like to give $2,500 here this evening to the Jeremiah program. Would anyone like to give $2,500?
Yes, my dear. Thank you. Do you have a paddle number? Somebody does. 333 is your paddle number? Amazing. Thank you so much.
Bidder 376. Thank you so much for $2,500.
Amazing.
Bidder 376.
The generosity here in the room. And Katie, just so you know, at $2,500 is helping fund mental health,
which is so crucial to everyone's health.